if I told you that your anxiety, your fear, your negative thoughts are not your enemies, but signals that your brain is ready to evolve? You are not broken. You are powerful beyond belief. And today, you're going to learn how to take back control. What if the anxiety you feel isn't a flaw, but a function? What if those racing thoughts, sleepless nights, and moments of inner chaos are not signs that you're weak, but that your brain is working exactly as it was designed to? You see, your brain is not against you, it's trying to protect you. But the problem is, it's using outdated strategies in a modern world. Most people never learn how to operate the most powerful machine they own. Imagine owning a supercomputer without a manual. That's how most of us go through life, reacting instead of responding, surviving instead of leading. And when stress hits, the brain goes into defense mode. It doesn't ask what's right or true. It asks what will keep us safe. That's when the anxiety kicks in. That's when the negative thoughts start to spiral. But make no mistake, these are not random glitches. Your program loops. They are habits of the mind that have been formed by repetition, experience, and unchallenged narratives. The brain has one job: survival. It doesn't care if you're happy. It doesn't care if you grow. It cares that you're alive. So it holds on to fear. It clings to worry. It remembers pain far more vividly than joy. That's not a mistake. That's evolution. Your ancestors survived by expecting danger. They had to be alert. They had to assume the worst. Or what kept them alive is now keeping you from living. You're not being hunted by tigers. You're being hunted by deadlines, bills, expectations, and social comparison. And yet, your brain reacts the same way it always has, by triggering your fight or fight system. Here's what you need to understand. Anxiety is a physiological response to a psychological threat. It begins in the amygdala, the part of the brain that scans for danger. When it detects a threat, real or imagined, it sends a signal to the body. Speed up the heart, tense the muscles, shut down digestion, and prepare to run or fight. This is useful when facing real danger. But the modern mind lives in constant false alarm. An unanswered text, a social media post, a comment from your boss, these become perceived threats, triggering the same ancient response. Your body is reacting to thoughts as if they were life or death situations. That's why your heart races. That's why you feel paralyzed. That's why it feels so real. But here's the good news. Your brain is not fixed. It's adaptable. It's plastic. What that means is you can rewire it. You can train it to stop seeing everything as a threat. You can teach it to respond, not react. But to do that, you must first become aware. Most people try to fight anxiety with force, by pushing it away, ignoring it, or pretending it's not there. But you can't fight what you don't understand, and you certainly can't fix what you don't face. Awareness is the beginning of transformation. When anxiety arises, don't judge it. Observe it. Notice the thought that triggered it. Ask yourself, is this a real threat or just a habit? Is this danger or just discomfort? That pause, that moment of mindfulness is where your power lives. When you shine a light on anxiety, it loses its grip, because what you observe you can change. You are not at the mercy of your mind. You are the driver. Your thoughts may show up uninvited, but you decide which ones get to stay. Your brain operates on patterns. If you constantly think negative thoughts, your brain makes that the default. It's not personal, it's practice. It becomes the path of least resistance. But the same way you practice anxiety, you can practice peace. You can practice presence. You can create a new default setting by feeding your mind different inputs. New beliefs, new habits, new reactions. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be persistent. Even 5 minutes a day of focused breathing, journaling, or just sitting in silence can begin to rewire your nervous system. Each time you choose calm over chaos, awareness over reaction, you are training your brain to respond differently. Think of your mind like a garden. Whatever you water grows. If you water worry, fear, and self-doubt, that becomes your mental landscape. But if you water gratitude, focus, and courage, you create a new environment, one where anxiety cannot survive. And make no mistake, this takes work, it takes effort. But you are not powerless. You are not stuck. You are not destined to live in mental distress. You have the tools within you. The same brain that creates anxiety can create peace. The same mind that overthinks can learn to focus. The same thoughts that brought you down can be replaced by thoughts that lift you up. But it starts with a decision to stop being a passive passenger in your own mind, a decision to reclaim your role as the driver. And once you make that choice, everything changes, not overnight, but over time. And that time starts now. Everything in your life begins with a thought. Your beliefs, your actions, your habits, your results, they all trace back to one simple place, your mind. The thoughts you think are not just fleeting ideas. They are the architects of your reality. Your brain doesn't just react to the world. It creates the world you experience based on what you focus on. That's why two people can go through the exact same situation and walk away with completely different interpretations. One sees failure, the other sees a lesson. One feels broken, the other feels built. The difference isn't what happened. The difference is how they thought about what happened. This is why anxiety and negative thoughts are so powerful. Not because they are true, but because we believe them. When you think something over and over again, your brain starts to accept it as fact, even if it's a lie. If you constantly tell yourself, I'm not good enough, I'll never succeed, or something bad is going to happen, your brain doesn't argue, it obeys. It reinforces that belief with emotion, with memory, and eventually with behavior. That's the dangerous part. What starts as a thought becomes a filter through which you see the entire world, and worse, you start to look for evidence to support it. But here's the truth most people never realize. You are not your thoughts. You are the thinker of your thoughts. And once you understand that, you unlock the most important superpower you have, the ability to change your mind. You can interrupt the pattern. You can delete the old program and write a new one. You are not a prisoner of your thinking. You are the programmer. Let's put this into perspective. If your thoughts are the software, then your brain is the hardware. And every time you think a certain way, you reinforce that program. Every time you worry unnecessarily, every time you doubt yourself, every time you play the same fearful script in your head, you strengthen those neural pathways. Your brain becomes more efficient at doing what it's already doing. That's why negative thoughts feel automatic. That's why it feels like you can't stop them, because your brain has made that route easy to travel. But just because it's familiar doesn't mean it's right. Just because it's loud doesn't mean it's true. And if that's the case, then the question becomes, what are you choosing to think? Are you feeding your mind junk thoughts that weaken you, or empowering thoughts that build you? Because every single thought is a choice. Most people don't see it that way. They say, I can't help but think this way. But that's not true. You may feel like it's automatic. At every time you catch yourself thinking negatively and replace that thought with something better, you are taking your power back. It's like changing the channel in your mind. You can choose a better frequency. When a negative thought appears, don't panic. Don't hate yourself for having it. Just recognize it. Just say to yourself, that's just a thought. That's not who I am. Then challenge it. Ask yourself, is this thought helpful? Is it kind? Is it even true? Most of the time, the answer is no. And once you see that, you don't have to believe it anymore. You don't have to follow it down the rabbit hole of anxiety. You can stand still, you can take a breath, you can speak something different. And the more you do this, the more natural it becomes. Is something powerful. Your brain listens to your voice more than anyone else's. That means what you say to yourself is more important than what anyone else says to you. So speak with intention. Instead of saying, I'm always anxious, say, I'm learning to manage my thought. Instead of saying, I can't handle this, say, I'm getting stronger every day. These aren't lies, these are choices. You are choosing what you want your mind to focus on. And your brain will follow your focus. Now this doesn't mean you never feel fear or doubt. You will, you're human. But the goal isn't to eliminate every negative thought. It's to stop letting them control you. It's to become the observer, not the puppet. When you observe a thought, you create distance from it. And in that distance lies your freedom. Freedom to choose. Freedom to let go. Freedom to build something better. Every great transformation begins in the mind. You want to change your life? Start by changing the way you think. Stop telling yourself stories that keep you small. Stop repeating words that drain your energy. Begin to feed your brain with courage, clarity, and conviction. When fear shows up, meet it with truth. When doubt arises, replace it with action. When anxiety whispers lies, speak back louder. Georgebernardshaw once said, people are always blaming their circumstances. The people who get on in this world are the ones who get up and look for the circumstances they want. And if they can't find them, they make them. The same is true for your mind. Don't wait for peace to find you. Create it. Don't wait for confidence to appear. Build it. Don't wait for the negative thoughts to disappear on their own. You should replace them. Program something better. Because once you realize that you are the author of your own inner world, everything changes. You stop living as a victim of your mind and start leading with power. Thought by thought, breath by breath, you can build a life rooted not in fear but in focus. Not in anxiety but in purpose. Not in negativity but in strength. And it all starts with one simple but revolutionary truth. You are not your thoughts. You are the master of them. And that is where your freedom begins. Your brain is not fixed. It's not a concrete slab that can't be altered. It's alive, dynamic, and changing every single day. And just like your body, your brain has muscles. Mental muscles. And if you don't train them, they weaken. If you don't use them, you lose them. You don't get mentally stronger by accident. You don't become calm, focused, and resilient just by wishing for it. You get there by training, by repetition, by showing up every single day, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. Most people want peace, but they never train for it. They want confidence, but they never practice it. They want to be focused, but their entire lifestyle is designed around distraction. What you do daily becomes who you are. So if you want to eliminate anxiety and take control of your thoughts, you can't just rely on willpower. You need structure. You need tools. You need daily disciplines that shape your nervous system to support the life you want. Think about it like this. No one expects to get physically fit by thinking about the gym. No one expects to build muscle by reading a workout plan and never doing the exercises. Yet we expect our minds to be strong without ever putting in the mental reps. That's why practices like meditation, breath work, journaling, and visualization are not luxuries. They're necessity. They're not just for the spiritual or the artistic. They're for anyone who's serious about building a stable, focused, and powerful mind. Let's talk about meditation. Meditation isn't about emptying your mind or becoming some kind of monk on a mountain. It's about training your attention. It's about choosing where to put your focus and gently bringing it back every time it wanders. That is mental strength. That is self-mastery. Each time you meditate, even for 5 minutes, you're literally changing the structure of your brain. You're quieting the fear centers. You're activating the regions responsible for awareness and control. That's not magic. That's neuroscience. And then there's breath work. Your breath is the remote control to your nervous system. Most people breathe like they're in constant danger, shallow, fast, up in the chest. That kind of breathing tells your brain, we're not safe. Something's wrong. But when you slow your breath, when you breathe deeply into your diaphragm, you send the opposite signal. You tell your body, it's okay. We're safe. We can relax. Just a few minutes of conscious breathing a day can shift your whole state. It's one of the fastest ways to reset your mind and body. Journaling is another powerful tool. When you write down your thoughts, you pull them out of the storm in your head and put them on paper where you can see them clearly. You gain perspective. You find patterns. You start to notice the same stories you've been telling yourself, and you get the chance to change them. Journaling isn't just about expression. It's about reflection. It's about asking yourself better questions so you can start getting better answers. And visualization. Don't underestimate it. Elite athletes, top performers, world-class leaders, they all use visualization. Why? Because your brain doesn't know the difference between a vividly imagined event and a real one. If you visualize yourself calm, confident, focused, and in control, your brain starts to build that reality as if it were already true. You're creating the blueprint for your nervous system to follow. The key with all of this is consistency. Don't wait for the storm to come before you start building shelter. Don't wait for your anxiety to spiral before you start practicing stillness. Train before you need it. Build a mental muscle before life tests you. Because it will. Life is unpredictable. Stress will come. Pressure will rise. But if you've trained, you'll be ready. You won't crumble. You won't collapse. You'll respond, not react. You'll breathe instead of panic. You'll observe instead of overthink. That's the power of mental training. The other piece to this is how you start your day. Your morning is your foundation. Most people lose the battle before they even leave the house. They wake up, grab their phone, check the news, scroll social media, and flood their brain with stress and comparison before they've even taken a breath. That's like starting your day with a punch to the gut. If you want to win the day, you have to win the first 10 minutes. Wake up and breathe. Wake up and journal. Wake up and meditate. Set your tone. Set your frequency. Choose calm. Choose focus. Choose power. Because once your brain is in a stress state, it's hard to think clearly. It's hard to make good decisions. But if you create even just 10 minutes of stillness, you can guide your mind into a more grounded state that changes everything. Remember this: you don't rise to the level of your potential, you fall to the level of your training. So train your mind like your life depends on it, because it does. The quality of your thought becomes the quality of your life. Don't wait until you're overwhelmed. Don't wait until anxiety robs another day. Start today. One breath, one journal entry, one moment of mindfulness. Do it again tomorrow and the next day. And the next. That's how you build mental muscle. That's how you eliminate anxiety, not by force, but by preparation. Because when your mind is strong, calm becomes your baseline. Focus becomes your default. Confidence becomes your nature. And anxiety, it doesn't disappear. It just loses its power over you. You've trained for peace. You've earned your calm. And no storm can take that away. Every negative thought, every anxious spiral, every emotional reaction follows a pattern. It doesn't happen by accident. It happens by habit. A trigger appears, something someone says, something you see, something you remember, and before you even realize it, your mind has jumped into a cycle. The heart starts to race, your breath shortens, your thoughts speed up, and now you're not in control. Your automatic programming is you've entered the loop, and unless you interrupt it, it'll run its course again and again. But here's the empowering truth: just because the pattern starts doesn't mean it has to finish. You have the power to break it. You can intercept the loop. You can stop the spiral and shift direction, but only if you catch it early. The sooner you recognize the pattern, the easier it is to shift. Most people get stuck because they wait too long. They don't notice the change until they're deep in anxiety, drowning in their thoughts, convinced that the storm in their mind is real. By then, it feels like it's too late, but it's not. It's never too late to shift. It just takes a decision, a moment of awareness, a single choice to pause, breathe, and act differently. That's why awareness is everything. The first step in interrupting any pattern is catching it in real time. You must become a witness to your mind. You must start noticing the signals, those first few thoughts, the tension in your body, the shallow breath, the urge to overthink or react. These are the red flags. And once you see them, you can act. But don't act with force. Don't try to suppress the emotion or deny the thought power that gives it more power. Instead, simply name it. This is anxiety. This is a fear loop. This is a story I've told myself before. Naming the pattern creates distance. It reminds you that this is not you. It's something you're experiencing. And anything you can observe, you can change. Now that you've named it, it's time to break it. And the most powerful way to break a mental pattern is with a physical shift. Move your body. Stand up. Change your posture. Walk. Stretch. Shake your arms. Splash cold water on your face. The body is a gateway to the mind. When you change your physiology, you change your chemistry. And when you change your chemistry, your thoughts follow. Anxiety cannot survive in a body that's calm and centered. It's a loop. And if you break it anywhere, the entire loop falls apart. Next, use your breath. The breath is a tool always available, always free. When your breath is shallow and fast, your body thinks it's under attack. But when your breath is slow, deep, and intentional, it sends a signal to the brain. We are safe. We are okay. One of the most effective techniques is box breathing. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold again for 4. Repeat this cycle for a minute or two. It sounds simple, but it's incredibly powerful. Yeah, not just breathing. You're programming your nervous system. Once your body has calmed, go one step further. Redirect your mind. Give it a new focus, because what you focus on grows. If you focus on fear, you'll feel more of it. If you focus on gratitude, your brain will begin to shift. So ask yourself, what is one thing I can be grateful for in this moment? Not a big thing, just one small, simple truth. The ability to breathe, the warmth of the sun, a lesson learned. Gratitude doesn't erase the problem, but it reminds your mind that it's not all bad, that there's still light in the middle of the dark. Now speak to yourself, out loud if you can. Replace the looping thought with a new one. Choose a mantra, an affirmation, a phrase that grounds you. Something like, I am safe right now. Or this is just a thought, not a fact. Or I felt this before, and I'd made it through. Repetition matters. The more you speak it, the more your brain accepts it. Words are powerful. Your voice is powerful. Don't wait to feel better. Speak better. Because your brain listens to your voice more than any other. And finally, do something intentional. Take action, not massive action, just something small and clear. Journal your thoughts. Send that message you've been avoiding. Step outside, drink a glass of water, clean one part of your room. Action breaks overthinking. It moves you from the mind into the moment. It tells your brain, we're not stuck, we're not helpless, we're moving forward. Interrupting the pattern is a skill. It takes practice. At first you'll miss it. You'll notice the spiral after it's already consumed you. That's okay. The goal isn't perfection, it's progress. Each time you catch the loop sooner, each time you shift even slightly, you're rewiring your brain. You're weakening the old path and strengthening a new one. And over time, what used to trigger panic will barely move you. What once felt like an endless cycle will become something you recognize, observe, and release. Because you are not your patterns. You are the one who changes them. You are not your anxiety. You are the one who breathes through it. You are not your thoughts. You are the one who directs them. The moment you choose to break the loop, no matter how small the step, you reclaim your power. And the more you do it, the stronger you become. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be aware.